So Wes Streeting has a challenger. So a British Palestinian by the name of Lian Mohammed is targeting Wes Streeting's seat at the next general election. A group of independent activists have selected a British Palestinian woman to challenge Labour Shadow Health Secretary Wes Streeting for a seat in East London in this year's expected general election. Lian Mohammed was selected by members of the independent Redbridge Community Action Group to challenge Streeting, who has faced criticism from pro-Palestinian activists over his comments on Israel's actions in the Gaza Strip. Mohammed's challenge to Streeting comes as Labour leader Keir Starmer officially drops the party's promise to recognise Palestine as a state unilaterally, and will now only do so as a result of a two-state solution with Israel. And I just want to quickly say something on that, since I've not actually covered this. So Starmer, if you didn't know, Starmer has dropped a Labour pledge to officially recognise a Palestinian state unilaterally. Now, it was Corbyn who has been the strongest on this as Labour leader, which Starmer has now dropped. Starmer said they will recognise Palestine when Israel does. Come on! The country that's genociding Palestine, you're waiting for them. You'll be waiting a bloody long time, especially since Netanyahu said they would never recognise Palestine. So, of course, this is a really disgusting development from Labour. That, and as well as blindly supporting Israel's genocide, has obviously angered so many people, including millions of Muslims across the country. But I have to say, this makes me really happy that we have a challenger to Wes Streeting. I mean, I want him gone. I really want him gone. And if you see my last video, you'll know exactly how I feel about him. Mohammed had been a long campaigner on the issue of Palestine in the UK. When she was 15, Mohammed won the regional final of the prestigious Jack Petchey Speak Out Challenge for his speech about the suffering of Palestinians. Speakers Trust, the London-based body behind the competition, then removed the video of her entry from its website, prompting outcry and allegations of self-censorship. Mohammed, now 23, has spoken at a number of pro-Palestinian events since the Israeli attack on Gaza began the 7th of October in the wake of the Hamas-led attack on Israel. If there is anyone who was still saying, you know, Labour is the only option because we need to get rid of the Tories, I don't think that works anymore, but it certainly doesn't work in this instance. Tell a Palestinian, tell a Muslim or anyone who cares about Palestine that you should vote for a genocide-supporting politician in order to keep out another genocide-supporting politician. When it comes to the policy of Israel-Palestine, there is no difference between the two. So why would anyone vote Labour under this circumstance? Now, according to the Middle East Eye, London Borough of Redbridge, which includes Ilford North, has a 31% Muslim population, which is very large, and, you know, could have an impact on the seat. And if you look at the numbers, Streeting has 50% of the vote in Ilford, which is 25,323, which is actually only a 5,000 majority. That's considered, not considered a safe seat. Well, 5,000 and below is considered a swing state. Swing state? Oh, I sound like an American. A swing seat. 5,000 and above is considered a majority. It's borderline. And then Howard Berlin, who was the Tory candidate, won 20,000 votes. And I tried to find what the seat would look like under current polling. I imagine the polling would show a large majority for Labour, definitely turning it into a safe seat. Now, I would back the progressive challenger that's most likely to beat Wes Streeting, which for most of the country, if you want to beat the Labour Party with a progressive alternative, that would be the Green Party. However, in this seat in 2019, they only won 845 votes, which is really poor. But there was a Corbyn phenomenon in 2017 and 2019 where many Greens switched to Labour. So I would really, really love to see polling information on the seat and to see where the Greens are, because look, this will be incredibly difficult to win, especially for an independent. Even more difficult for Lian, as let's be honest, she will be seen as a one-issue candidate, which is Palestine. Now, most people understandably care about their material conditions first and foremost. So in order to win an election, you're going to need a whole policy platform that addresses the cost of living, public services, wages, bread and butter stuff. You know, you get it. Not that Lian doesn't, by the way. I'm fairly confident that she does support a progressive platform. I highly doubt that she will be a really strong campaigner for Palestine and then also a really extreme free market capitalist. Not very likely. And to be fair, according to the Redbridge Community Action Group website, they did pledge to nominate a candidate who is now Lian Mohammed, which will prioritise issues on Palestine, the NHS combating racism and Islamophobia, and addressing the cost of living crisis. Now, if there's more information about the state of play in Ilford North and we see a massive Green surge, then I'm sorry to say that we should back the Greens. I want to see West gone, and I don't want to see any genocide supporters in Parliament, and we have to be really practical here. The Greens are good on the conflict. They've called for an immediate ceasefire. They've attacked both the Tories and Labour for supporting genocide. So on policy and rhetoric, they've been really good. Now, as I mentioned earlier, 31% of the area are Muslim. So if Leanne could win a majority of them and maybe bring some new people into vote who have previously been disenfranchised and possibly some existing Labour voters, although if I took a guess, most of the voting Muslims probably voted Labour. Essentially, if Leanne had a better chance of unseating and winning over another progressive party, then I would back her 110%. Now, it seems that some in the Labour fold are actually a little worried about her campaign. One Labour MP told The Telegraph Mrs Streeting would have a genuine battle on his hands following Miss Mohammed's selection. They predicted that some colleagues could lose their seats because of pro-Palestinian candidates, drawing votes away from the party. Miss Mohammed is a British Palestinian activist who last October addressed crowds at a Palestinian solidarity march in central London. Now, we do actually know from polling that almost half of Labour Muslim voters are not happy with their stance on Palestine, unsurprisingly. And also, to bring up the Tory enabler point again, it is a possibility that some Labour MPs will lose their seats because of their stance on this. And even that quote I just mentioned, a current Labour MP feels the same way. So if that's going to happen, most likely those seats will go to the Tories. So, I mean, all I'm suggesting is if they're going to lose anyway, then you might as well have a viable progressive candidate to try and beat that Tory who otherwise would win. But if Labour do lose a handful of seats to the Tories because they can't bring out their own base to vote for them, and not just down to Israel-Palestine, but their betrayal of basic Labour values, then they fully deserve it. That's completely on them. But I'm so glad to see a grassroots resistance to the shit show that is both the main political parties. People are saying enough is enough, and I really, really hope her campaign goes well. The election probably won't be until the end of the year, but I am excited to see how this campaign develops over time. If you want to, you can donate to the Redbridge Community Action Group, which says it will help Leanne's campaign, and I will drop a link in the description.